Hi, how you doing? I'm doing great because today is the start of Summerween. Yes, we're doing another Summerween vlog. If you don't know, Summerween is a readathon run by Gabby Reads, all about putting that Halloween vibes into summer. It's a week-long readathon and it's been going on for a couple of years now, but last year is the first time I actually participated in it, so you can find a vlog of that on my channel if you want. And then I also participated in the winter round this January, so again you can find a vlog of that on my channel if you want. But now it's time for another round of Summerween. Honestly, I've been looking forward to this readathon so I'm very excited to get started. The readathon does have 5 reading prompts, which if I'm smart I'll be putting that on screen right now. They are just casual reading prompts that I will be trying to fulfill throughout this week. But this TBR, because I also got myself a little 6-book TBR. All of the books on the TBR fit at least one prompt. Some fit more than one, but all of them fit at least one prompt. And I'll be trying to make my way through that list of 6 books throughout this week. I don't really have a theme for myself this year. When I came to Summerween last year, I kind of wanted to focus on some of the guys from that guys I had for the longest, and then when I came to Winterween I kind of really zoned in into the witchy vibes that they were going with for that round. So I read a bunch of witchy books, but this year, like this time around, I'm not restricting myself to anything. It's July 5th, it's just past 2 p.m, so I have had a little bit of a slower start to the readathon, but I have started on The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz, which will be my first read for the readathon. This is an adult mystery thriller following Kelly, who is kind of not having such a great life situation right now. It's the middle of a pandemic. Her fiance is kind of putting off their wedding indefinitely because of something that happened between them, and the only thing going for her is that right before this dispute with her fiance happened, she got back in contact with one of her friends from high school, and she offered for her to stay at her house together with her husband while just to create a bit of a distance between her and her fiance, to kind of distance makes the heart grow fonder, I guess. Kelly, our protagonist, very quickly finds herself attracted to both her friend and the husband of the friend. I'll explain this terribly. And according to the synopsis, I've not gotten to this point yet, but according to the synopsis, they will form a bit of a trouble situation, and while that is happening, she also starts to discover that the previous person that was in trouble with this couple went missing, and now she is getting worried for her own well-being. But like I said, I have not gotten to that point yet. I'm 25% of the way through this book, and I'm just kind of starting to get to that point where Kelly is starting to get a bit more comfortable in the house and really getting attracted to these two people, and being confused just in general, because she also still loves her fiance and wants to make that work as well, but she's also finding herself attracted to these two new people. So that's the thing that's going on. So far I actually don't really know how to feel about it yet. Like I said, not a whole lot has happened yet, but it does have this eerie kind of sense throughout the entire book so far, which I really liked. I don't like Kelly that much. I think she's a bit of a pathetic main character. She's I don't know, I can't explain, but she feels just a bit pathetic to me. I don't like calling characters that, especially female main characters, that, but it is what it is. And yeah, but I am reading this relatively quickly, and I'm very excited to continue on with this book and kind of see what else is going on. Okay, so it's just past 3 p.m. and I'm now halfway through my book. At first I wanted to do a halfway through update, but then I thought against it because not a lot has been happening. But now, just at halfway mark, some stuff not necessarily happening, but we have gotten some very minor reveals, not a big reveal that actually changes things, just these very minor things that just have me a bit curious about what's going on, what's happening. And just, I don't know, I feel so far this book has been, I'm not gonna say slow moving because I've been reading it very quickly, but not a lot has been happening. But I do think that the author has been doing a great job at kind of I don't know, making you feel that undercurrent of something's not right here, and I really like that. But so far that's the only thing I'm liking about this book. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of a main character, and yeah, I don't really know how to feel about the rest of it yet, you know? Okay, so I finished The Spare Room. Give it a 1 star, which I have to say felt a bit harsh, but like also a 2 star feels too generous because generally I tend to give 1 star ratings to books that I can't see anything positive about, and I don't have a positive word to say about this book. I'm sorry, it was so boring. That last half dragged so much, and like any kind of tension just was gone for me. I feel like especially the last quarter was too much. Like, oh, that's to be fair, that's also the part where this book finally turns into like a thriller or a mystery. The plot finally kicks in, but it's so dragged out and so slow, and I feel so stupid. And like the ending is so stupid. Like I hate the reveal so much because it makes zero sense, and it is also such a lackluster reveal, if that makes sense. And I I really didn't like this. And now I'm kind of in a crisis because I checked Goodreads to see what I was gonna read next because I had no clue. But when it comes to the ebooks I picked for my TBR, they all have abysmally low average ratings on Goodreads. So I did a bad job picking my TBR, but hopefully I'll find a book that actually will stick with me. Hi, it is the next day. It's almost 12 p.m., so it's almost lunchtime. But honestly, excuse me for looking like a mess because I have not gotten out of bed yet. But last night I decided to start The Other Lola by Ripley Jones because that was the book I was going to read in the dark. And I took a couple of hours off from reading, and then it was dark, so I thought it would be the perfect book to start next. Last night I got 25% of the way through, and then this morning all I've been doing is reading this book, so hence why I have not gotten out of bed yet. But I'm halfway through right now. So The Other Lola is the sequel to Missing Clarissa, which I read a couple of months ago. And in that book, we follow Cam and I completely forgot the other girl's name. But in Missing Clarissa, we follow two girls who, for their journalism class, decide to start a podcast trying to find Clarissa, who is a girl who went missing in a town a couple of years ago. And then in this book, they're back on the case as someone from their school named Maddie approaches them because their sister went missing 5 years ago, and now at like towards the start of this book, Lola, their sister, has returned, but Maddie is 100% convinced that that is not the Lola she grew up with, that she knows that this is an imposter, but no one else around her seems to think so. So they very much approach our two main characters to be like, hey, you solved this big case last year. I want you to help me out now because I'm at my wit's end. That's what's going on. But at this halfway mark, I feel like not a whole lot has happened yet. I mean, stuff have been happening, but nothing that actually like forwards the mystery, that actually like tries to explain anything that's happening. So I have a feeling I'm not gonna like this one, just like I didn't like Missing Clarissa, because Missing Clarissa is one of the worst written books I've ever read. But I flew through that book. I had actually such a fun time reading it, even though it was terrible. So that's also why I decided to pick up the sequel. But I don't know, this is not as captivating to me as Missing Clarissa was, but it is still an entertaining read. I do think the writing improved just a tad bit, but I still feel like this author just has never met another human before. The dialogues are just like terrible, and like in their character relationships also just like terrible. But I it is still like a very compelling read, so there's that. But I don't have good feelings that I'm halfway through and not much has happened when it comes to investigating this mystery. What I am planning on reading today though is The Last Time I Lied by Wiley Sagar, which is one of my physical books. I have two physical books on my TBR, this one and If I Survive by Holly Jackson, but I got this one from the library and I'm quite excited to read this. Wiley Sagar has been a bit hit or miss for me, but they are always fun reads, so hopefully this will be as well. Hi, so we are a bit later in the day. It's just past 3 and I'm about halfway through The Last Time I Lied by Wiley Sagar. In this book, we follow Emma, who when she was 13 went to this summer camp, and the 3 other girls who were living in a cabin with her went missing. And now 15 years later, the camp is reopening and Emma is invited to kind of come on to the camp as kind of like a painting instructor, because she is a painter, and she decides to accept to one, find some closure just from that summer, but also to try and figure out what happened to these girls that went missing. And yeah, that's the story of this book. It mainly takes place in like present timeline, but every so often we get like a small chapter from the past, from 15 years ago. And honestly, I am a little bit conflicted on this book so far because I am enjoying it. I am flying through this. Like, I've been reading this relatively quickly and it's been very gripping. Like, I've not been wanting to put this book down, but I also am not loving it. I feel like so far not a whole lot has happened. We've been mainly been getting introduced to this camp, and then in the past time mainly also the dynamic between Emma and one of these three girls that went missing, Vivian. Like, they had like a very interesting dynamic going on, and that's kind of what we've been focusing on the most. Like, the other two girls, we barely know anything about them that went missing, so I think that's an interesting decision that was made. And also, like, it's a well-known fact that Riley Sagar is not the best at writing female main characters, but I feel like in this book it's especially outrageous when it comes to like the flashbacks. And also we got Vivian's diary and at a certain part in this book as well. It's very obvious while reading those sections that are especially in the mind of like teenage girls that he's a man. You know? So like, in that sense, this book gives me the ick a little bit. By the way, I'm so sorry for the background noise. I'm trying to talk around it, but I have my window open and it's noisy outside. I'm sorry. So in that sense, this book is giving me a little bit of the ick, and it is very slow moving so far. But I do think we're at a point in this book right now where I feel like we've raised all of the questions and now all the answers are gonna come in some way or another. Hi, so I finished the last time I lied by Riley Sagar. I should give you probably a time update as well because I've been doing that. It's almost 9 p.m. I finished this right before dinner, and then again I've been taking the evening a little bit to relax, so that's why I'm only here now with the update. But I also washed my hair. That's also a big one because that takes some time. This one I ended up giving 3 stars. I feel so odd talking about this book because I feel like with the build-up that this book had, which was a bit slower, I usually need like that payoff, and I feel like this did not deliver on the payoff. But I still enjoyed that build well enough that I feel like a 3 star is justified, if that makes sense. Like I said, this is a bit of a slower build, not the most happens, but I feel like Riley Sagar does do a great job at transporting you to this summer camp, and I really like that setting. I really don't think he can write teenage girls, so I hope that's another thing I'll encounter in any of his other books that I haven't read yet. And that kind of, I don't know, I didn't like that aspect of it, but for the rest I really enjoyed most of this book and was very curious to see where it was going to lead. I did also think side characters were a bit underdeveloped, but then when we get into like the final chunk of this book where reveals are starting to happen, I feel like this book became over reliant on our main character's mental illness, and the way that was executed just gave me a bit of an ick. And then I also feel like a lot of threats that were pulled up ended up leading to absolutely nowhere. Not even like, I don't know, it didn't even feel like red herrings. It just is like, oh yeah, that was actually nothing kind of things. I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't really like how that ended up going. And then like the big reveal of the end of like the reveal of actually what happened and stuff, I feel like just was very lackluster. I don't think the groundwork was properly laid down for it, and part of that is also because like the side characters are not developed at all, like nothing. Like, I can barely keep names apart, and I feel like if you you know, if I can believe a suspect, I must also know them, if that makes sense, and I didn't know any of these people, so I don't know, for me the ending failed to deliver, but like the rest of the book was a good time. And I am watching the Summerween reading sprints. Actually just put them on, they've been going on for a little bit, but I had to like write my review for this as well. I'm about to close the curtains because they're open right now, hence why you can see me, but I'm gonna close them, so I'm in the dark, gonna be watching sprints and finishing the other Lola hopefully, because tomorrow is my aunt's 50th birthday party, so I think we'll be gone for most of the day for that. So I don't know if I can read much today, so I kind of want to like get a head start today now that we're going at it, especially because I finished this quicker than I expected. Hi, so it's just past 11 p.m. I'm exhausted, but I did it. I finished Shadow Lola by Ripley Jones. 2 star, just like the first book, Missing Clarissa, because honestly I did like this less than Missing Clarissa, but same kind of like review as that it's a shy book. Like objectively it's so poorly written, but it's also so entertaining. And I do have to say, like I said, I liked it less than the first one because I feel like that first one had kind of like that edge of your seat, don't want to put this book down kind of feel to it, which this one didn't really, especially towards the end. This one turned into such a slog to read, but it's still high entertainment value, but very poorly written. Characters that make you think that the author has never met another human before. No like interpersonal relationships, kind of like development, none at all. The mystery was really bad. I feel like it didn't really, like, I didn't really like the way it happened in Missing Closer because I feel like it was very unrealistic. But at least we got like a couple of reveals throughout the book. This one really just was like, we know nothing until we're gonna info dump everything to you at the end, which is why it felt like such a slog towards the end. So it was even more poorly done on that front. And yeah, if this author ever writes on the book, I'm not reading it. Hi, so it is currently Monday. It's almost 10:30 p.m. So it's a bit of a later update than expected. Like I expected, I did read nothing on Sunday, but I did have a fun time out with family. And today, I actually went to the earlier. I've been reading People to Follow by Olivia Worley, which is a bit of a deviation from my TBR, but this one just, I don't know, I felt like reading this one. And in this book, you follow 10 influencers who are participating in this reality TV show, and on the first morning, like, one of them ends up dead, and they end up also kind of like being a bit blackmailed throughout the entire thing. And it's kind of a mystery about who's killing, all of their secrets, anything like that. It's a shit explanation, but I don't want to give away too much, I really this 3 stars because this was a 4 star for like the longest time. I need you to know that, because this was such a compelling read. And my only issue I had with this, for the most part, is that the characters are very one-dimensional. We do follow 4 POVs, so we got 4 characters POVs, and those were very distinct, which I really enjoyed. Their voices were very different, but I feel like I don't know a lot of anything about these characters, because I wanted a bit more depth from these characters. But for the rest, I was having such a fun time. I feel like the whole setup of everything was really well done, and you could tell people, even when they were like revealing things, they were still holding things back, and I really enjoyed kind of seeing all of that unravel. And also, honestly, I like the killing order for the different characters. I feel like that kept things like me on the edge of my seat, because sometimes I would be really into like, oh, this person probably has something to do with this, and then they would wind up dead, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do anymore. I like that aspect of it as well. I thought it just was a very engaging, very fast-paced read as well. It was very quick moving, which I really enjoyed. And just when it came to the ending, I didn't really like this, because when it comes to the sequels of these people being revealed, and like the whole reason why all of this is happening, like, most of these people deserve to fucking die. I don't care. They were terrible, terrible people with the terrible, terrible things. And I just feel like, because there is someone who is worse by the fact that, they're killing people, and set up this whole thing to kill people. But because we have that as the antagonist, kind of, it feels like it takes the character's sense of accountability away, because like, I did this bad thing, but at least I'm not as bad as that person, and therefore that gave me the ick so much. I also feel like when it comes to its core messaging of this book, I feel like this was kind of directionless. I feel like the author had like a couple of things she wanted to say, but like didn't fully realize any of them. So that was also kind of frustrating, because I'm like, just hit your point home, you're almost there, and she just failed to do that. So for reading plans, the only challenge I've set is to read a thriller or a horror, which technically all of these books have been mystery thrillers, so I could fit. But for my TBR, I put Five Survive by Holly Jackson, and I really want to read this. So I think this is going to be my focus for tomorrow. This is a YA thriller. I'll talk more about what this is about once I've started it. And then for tonight, before going to sleep, I think I might start The Chateau by Jacqueline Goldis, which was also my original TBR, and I just haven't got that on too. But that one also seems really interesting to me. So now that I have a bit more like joy in reading, I have more faith in my TBR. So I think I hope I might like this one more. So that's what I'm gonna be reading next. Excuse this shit lighting, but I'm just popping in really quick to say that I'm DNF in the Chateau already. I only got like 11% of the way in, actually. But something about the writing is just not clicking with my brain. Like, I can't quite grasp it, and I'm already forgetting so much what has happened, and I'm not following yet. And we also get so many different POVs, and all of them just sound the exact same, and it's hard to distinguish them, and it makes me so confused. And this is not the book for me. So it's the next day, it's 1:30 p.m. almost, and I have to say I have not started Five Survive yet, like I said I would, because like I said, today, hot day, so my window's been open, and outside they've been doing some stuff which was extremely noisy for like most of the day so far. And like when I say extremely noisy, I'm gonna say it was too loud to think even. So what I've been doing instead is reading Not the Worst Friend in the World, I believe, by Anne Relihan. Relihan. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, I'm so sorry. But this is a middle grade mystery, and it follows our main character Lou, who at the start of this novel had like very recently had a falling out with her best friend Francie. They've been best friends since kindergarten, now they're in 6th grade, because she said something terrible, and that's kind of all we know. But even though it's like where I am at, it's very obvious what it is, but still technically I don't know. But all at the start of this novel, she's kind of been a bit of an outcast within her class, but recently a new girl arrived at the school. At the start of this book, she gets a note from the new girl that she needs her help because the new girl thinks that her dad has kidnapped her, and she wants to try and find a way back to her mom, basically. And Lou kind of agrees with it to help her out, but also to kind of prove that she's not the worst friend in the world, hence the title. And I don't know, I'm 70% of the way through, so I have made quite a decent chunk, but like this is also like a relatively short one. It's middle grade, so it's flying by. But I don't know how to feel about this, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much because I don't really know what to say, and I feel like I need to have answers for everything to kind of be sure about it. But I'm gonna say that at this point everything seems very obvious, but I'm also saying this as a almost 23-year-old reading this. I'm not, it's like I'm 10 years older than these characters. Like obviously I'm gonna pick up on things that they are not, but I also feel like the writing is very repetitive, and I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of a main character. But now that the noise outside has gone, I'm gonna get cracking on Five Survive by Holly Jackson, and I'm quite excited for this one. This is a YA thriller, and I think I'm gonna read you the back because it's actually not that long. The tagline says 8 hours, 6 friends, 1 sniper, and the title is Five Survive, so I do have like a sense of what it is. But well, you can't see me, but I can see you. If you try to run, I will shoot. Red Kenny is on a road trip with 5 friends when their RV breaks down in the middle of nowhere. There's no accident. Someone is out there and someone wants one of them dead. With 8 hours until dawn, the 6 friends must escape or work out which one of them is the target. Buried secrets will be forced to light, and not everyone will survive the night. I do think this is like a straight up thriller tone mainly. Of course there's like a little mystery woven throughout it, but Holly Jackson's other books have been more mystery focused, and this one's definitely more of a thriller. And I've heard some mixed things about this book, but I'm still very excited to read it, so that's what I'm gonna do today. Hi, I'm a bit tired. It's about to start storming outside. I can already tell from the color of the sky, so hence why it's a bit darker. It is also almost at 9 p.m. I was listening to some music about reading. I thought I'd update you because I ended up finishing Not the Worst Friend in the World. I ended up giving it 2 stars, which was a bit of a disappointment because I was expecting a little bit more from it. And I do have to say this review is very much coming from a place as in I'm not the target demographic for this. Like towards the end of the book, I mean, character turns 12 in this book. I'm 10 years older than her, so you know there's a bit of a disconnect there. And I do think that this would be great for its target audience. It just definitely 100% wasn't me. I don't know, I don't think it was a bad book, but like I said earlier, I feel like it's very repetitive and also extremely predictable. And you know, like I said, part of that is me being much older, but also like I've read a lot of middle grade books in which like that didn't bother me necessarily, if that makes sense. But in this one it did kind of get on my nerves when I wanted to scream at these characters like it's literally right in front of your face, stop it. And then also when it came to kind of like the friendship fights, I feel like too much blame was put on the main character, and I feel like for some of the aspects it's a two-way street, so that also bothered me. I do have to say this is more of like a coming of age friendship story rather than a mystery. The mystery is very much the side plot of this book, but like officially it is a mystery book, so it counts for this readathon. And then also I have started If I Survive. I'm only 76 pages in and I'm already liking this. To be fair, we have just gotten to the part where where they realize there's a sniper that actively sabotaged like their RV and is now after them. But so the plot has not really kicked into gear yet. But I really don't like the POV we're in. Red just has is a bit wishy-washy with her memory, and I know it's gonna get so frustrating in this book, and it's already frustrating me. I also don't really like the cast of side characters that much, and I don't know, I'm not clicking with the writing in this one, so I have a feeling I'm gonna dislike this one as well. But I'm gonna push through. I'm hoping to read just a little bit more today. Hi, so it is the next day. It's almost 3 p.m. and I just finished Five Survive by Holly Jackson. And like I predicted, I didn't like this book. Give it 2 stars in the end because I do feel like when it came to like this little chunk, it did get very tense and I did feel on the edge of my seat. This did have me going, but overall I feel like I really disliked our characters. I mean, Red isn't the worst. I mean, we're in her head, but I just hated being in her head because she's so wishy-washy and like at a certain point in my notes while reading this book, I said that she can't string 2 thoughts together, which is a perfect description for her, and it's really frustrating to read. And then the rest of the cast of characters were either just absolute assholes or just like wet sacks who just let the asshole be an asshole instead of fighting him. And I feel like the plot was a little bit predictable. The ending, I feel like I wanted a little bit more from though. I feel like it ended very abruptly. I don't know, wanted a bit more. I did also this morning start Liar's Beach by Katie Kutukno, which is the last book that I had on my TBR that I hadn't gotten around to. Like, to be fair, I have read 2 books that aren't on my TBR, so at least there's that. This is a YA mystery, and from what I remember, I believe this is based on And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, but I'm not entirely sure. But I do know that this follows our main character is a guy whose name I've already forgotten, but he is kind of like the poor kid at a boarding school, like a rich boarding school, and like he's on a scholarship, but none of his friends really know about that. And at the start of this book, he got invited to one of his friends' beach house, and they kind of like spent the summer there. And one of their first days there, they throw a party and a fight breaks out, and the next morning, the guy that they fought with is found unconscious in the pool. At the point where I'm at, because I'm like 30% of the way in, we don't know if he's dead yet. He's in a hospital, but like I'm assuming he might pass away. I don't know. But you know, tends to be how this goes. But also on this island is this guy's like one of his like childhood friends kind of, who is also a witch, and he's kind of like not too happy that she's there because she knows that he's poor and he doesn't want his friends to know, but also at the same time she's really into mysteries, so he's getting her help to try and like figure out what happened. And yeah, I'm not far in yet, but I am flying through this so far, so that's a good thing, and hopefully I'll like it more than this or anything else I've read this readathon. Like honestly, I'm getting depressed by myself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna film a video real quick and then I'm gonna continue reading for the rest of the day. Hi, so it is the final day of Summerween. It's almost 10 p.m. and this morning I ended up finishing A Liar's Beach by Katie Kutukno, so I thought I'd update you. I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. So as long as time this was a 4 because I had so much fun reading this book. It wasn't necessarily anything groundbreaking, but it hits just a lot of things that I really love, especially following a mystery following rich people. It's my drama, and especially because it's a YA mystery, I feel like that's kind of more fun. And I had a lot of fun reading this. I really liked the cast of characters. I did think like they're not good people, but like they're fun people to follow. I loved Holiday, which is one of the side characters. I thought, and she's kind of more like a detective. I was one. This is not a And Then There Were None retelling, but it is a retelling of one of Agatha Christie's Poirot novels. But I don't know that one, so I forgot the title of it already. But Holiday kind of fills that Poirot role, and I did really enjoy her. She was my favorite of the book easily. And then our main character, Lyndon, I forgot his name earlier, but I remembered it now. I did not like him. But I do have to say that he did get called out on his bullshit towards the end of this book, so I'm hopeful that in the sequel he will be a bit better. I'm not entirely sure yet if I want to read that, but it's open. But that's kind of my feelings for most of the book. But then the reveal happened, and I was like, there's no way. I saw this coming like from the start. Like, this is the only thing that made obvious sense. Like, it's it's the most obvious thing you could have gone with, and it was so obvious that I in my head had convinced myself that that's not it, because it couldn't possibly be. And then the reveal came and my jaw just dropped, simply because of the fact that I couldn't believe that that actually was the case. And yeah, and then in the afternoon we ended up going to my grandparents' house, and then I had technically had all evening to read, and I still have a lot of time to read, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to finish another book, so I thought it was pointless. So I have not been reading, and now I'm here to wrap up the vlog. Isn't that fun? But yeah, I had a fantastic time this Summerween. My ratings are a bit abysmal. Don't pay attention to them, but I had so much fun. I managed to read 7 books in 7 days. Are you nuts? They're all mystery thrillers, non-horror books. I'm sorry, but it's a vibe. I don't typically read a whole lot of mystery thriller books. Like, I read one here every now and often, but not like regularly. So for me, it was like a fun thing to kind of like get out of my comfort zone a little bit. But let's just get over the books that I read real quick. I started with a readathon by reading The Spare Room by Andrea Barth, which I gave 1 of 5 stars to, and this counts towards the challenge to read a book with a night sky on the cover. Then next I read The Last Time I Lied by Riley Saga, which I gave 2 of 5 stars to, and this counts for a book with a 5-word title. Then I read The Other Lola by Ripley Jones, which I gave 2 of 5 stars to, and counted for the challenge to read a book in the dark. And then next I read People to Follow by Olivia Wardley, which I gave 2 of 5 stars to, and counted for the challenge to read a book set in summer. Then we have Not the Worst Friend in the World by Anne Wellihan, which I gave 2 of 5 stars to. This does not count for any challenges, one of my bonus books. Then I read 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, which I gave 2 of 5 stars to, and counts for the challenge to read a thriller or horror book. And then lastly, I read Liar's Beach by Katie Kotugno, which I gave 2 of 5 stars to, and again, it's a bonus book. Originally I had this slotted in to read a book set in summer, but because I already had People to Follow earlier in the week, this one is one of the bonus books instead. So yeah, I also made my way through my entire TBR. I had 1 DNF, which I didn't include in my little wrap-up. I DNF'd The Chateau by Jacqueline Goldis, so there's that. But like for the rest, I made my way through my TBR, read 2 bonus books, so I'm happy as a clam. I don't know what else to tell you. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you participated in the Summerween, what you read, and if you enjoyed what you read. Also, if you read any of the books I read in this video, I would love to discuss. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Good.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should've played it cool instead.